Hello, everybody, and thank you for attending our first webinar of the Scale Valley series, a program initiated by Albaniatech with the support of New Media Communications, duapun.com, DigiSapiens, and Skills for Jobs project. For those who don't know, Albaniatech is a platform that aims to unite and activate the key ecosystem players in Albania. It is a platform that tries to promote the whole Albanian startup ecosystem internationally. I am Gerti Bosniaku, the platform leader of Albaniatech, co-founder of New Media Communications and business magazine Albania, and I will be your host for today. As you know, guys, one of the main challenges of startups everywhere in the world is to penetrate new markets and get the funding and the investment to do that. This way, they could have the opportunity to focus on their development processes, and they could focus on hiring talent and at the same time growing more in their markets. But this is not an easy task to do in Albania. And even though the startup ecosystem in Albania is evolving real fast, there is a constant need of role models. That means startups who have made it to succeed in markets beyond the country, and the need for proper capital injections so that we may see more mature startups that are able to expand their solutions or their ideas internationally in global markets. Currently in Albania, just to make the situation here, there are not any venture capital funds or organized angel investment associations that are operative in the country. So we don't have, let's say, VCs that are looking for startups or for ideas within the country. So that means that the landscape of Albania, or let's say the ecosystem, is missing this piece in Albania, because startups, is essential for their growth is the capital injection. And in order to know how do we do that, how can we provide this type of support, how can we grow an ecosystem that is attractive to internal and international startups, or what is the way to connect and foster relationship with other ecosystems, and how does it work in other countries which are more developed or mature in terms of startups and innovation scene. We are here and trying to get some answers for these questions, or to get other perspectives from people who have had a lot of experience in much more developed ecosystem of startups and innovation. And they are investors, and we have invited today, I have the pleasure to introduce to you today with Dr. Eisen. He is an inventor and a serial entrepreneur, venture partner at GVI Ventures and Network VC. He is the chairman of Oxyton Medical and senator of the World Business Angel Investment Forum, strategic advisor and keynote speaker with 20+ years of solid technology, business, and leadership experience. His CV is quite long. I'm not going to read it all. We have already introduced in our communications during the promotion of this event. But I would like to highlight that he has more than 30 patents worldwide and 20 scientific publications. It's like a nice mixture of scientist, investor, and entrepreneur. But he's going to talk about this later a little bit more and explain to us. And at the same time, I have the pleasure to have here from the country of United States, Mr. Gary Fowler, an award-winning serial entrepreneur and investor. He is a person who has built 17 companies. Among them, 2 are unicorns and a successful IPO. He was on the original management team of Click Software, which was recently sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion. And he is the co-founder of the award-winning AI company, YVA.ai, recently acquired by Vizier. He has more than 30 years of business experience, and is currently the CEO and president of GSD Venture Studios. Gary was recently named one of the top 10 global AI executives and is an international speaker and the author of over 180 articles. Without further ado, I would like to give the floor first to Gary and ask him to explain us a little bit more from his background, and later on he can talk about his GSD Venture Studios as well. Hello, Gary.
Hello. Yeah, sure. So I've been doing startups for over 30 years. I started my first company at 21, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have mentors, didn't have advisors. I decided to go out and start a company. And the one thing that I found is that it's critically important to have that network and those contacts to be able to help you build your company. And as you said, so I lived part of the time in Florida and the other part of the time in Palo Alto, California, in Silicon Valley. Part of it is just, Gertie, is exactly what you said, is those connections in the network are really important. Finding those people that have the expertise that can really help you grow. Our area of focus, so I'm interested in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, metaverse, Web3, AI as a horizontal, not a vertical. But these opportunities in Albania, these opportunities all over the world, as we start to look at places like Africa, Indonesia, Malaysia, bring in your talent and the skill sets out. It's great to have a Ferrari, but if the Ferrari's in your garage and nobody sees it, it's a Ferrari. When you take it out of your garage and you drive it in the neighborhood, your friends know, they start to talk. But the most important thing is, can you win the Formula One, right? Do you have the right team? Do you have the right brakes? Do you have the right paint? Do you have the right driver? And can you do it quickly? By the way, the name of my company is GSD for a reason. It's get shit done. So it ain't about the talk, it's about the action. It's about getting shit done. It's about execution. And each one of you need to take steps forward to be able to do that. A lot of people talk, but the key is taking the action. So it's great to be here today and great to see my friend Leon and you, Gertie, and all these incredible startups that are here today.
Thank you for this start, Gary. I would like to invite Leon, and he is from Israel, which Israel actually is named as the startup nation. And I just want to say that we at Albaniatech has our slogan, which is called Albaniatech, Albania, a startup nation in the making. That means that we are, let's say, developing, we are getting some shit done, as Gary said, but we are not yet a startup nation. So I would like to first, Leon, introduce yourself and let us know something about the startup nation.
Yeah, Gary, thank you very much. Gary, thank you very much. And you introduced very nice me, so I don't have something to add. Maybe just that I'm in the board of African Global Leadership Council and in the Forbes Council, Business Council. What I have to say, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this first webinar series. It's a very important step towards building startup nations in your country. And Israel, 30 years ago, Israel was approximately in the same place. So we just started 30, 40 years ago to build startup nation. Israel was in a startup nation in making, as you said, and for the last 30 years, really, for the last 30 years, we went a long way to become a real winner of Formula One, as Gary said. So again, it's very important, first of all, to learn how other countries did it, make it, and to apply what they learn to your country, including some specifics on your country. You cannot copy exactly what, for example, Israel did or Singapore done. You should specifically adjust what we done to your country. And you are lucky because you don't have to discover the new wheel. You can take the best from one country, another country give you another best thing, and you can make some mix of the best practice and apply this in your country. As you said, become a country with very well developed VC ecosystem. First of all, it requires to show yourself. This is very important. But how are you going to show yourself? If you don't have VC, you have to bring your company, your idea to the country where there is a very well-developed startup hub and VC hub. So in this case, definitely you have to learn how to talk to these foreign VC, how to show yourself, how to show your Ferrari. I really, Gary, I like your comparison. And this is most important. So first of all, you have to learn from American investors, from American startups, from Israeli startups, from other countries, how they do this, how they talk to VC, how they talk to customers. So in this case, create some noise around your startups, around your ideas. I was a couple of months ago, I was in Tirana, and I was just amazed about potential you have. So today is a good time to show this potential and to show that emerging market has its place in a global market of startups and venture capital. Gerti?
Okay, I had it muted. Okay, thanks for this overall view that you gave us about the Israeli and about the way that a nation that, let's say 30 years ago, you said we were just on the making, and now let's say Israel has become really a startup nation. My point is that we have, let's say, 7 to 10 years maximum that we are engaged in this startup thing, trying to think about innovation, trying to do first ideas to make them real. And there are not many role models. Let's say we do not have unicorns, but we do not have, let's say, many successful stores that it may become like a trigger for others to come and to follow this path. But in your opinion, this type of promotion, of type of noise can be done by someone like a startup, which makes it global and his story inspires others, or it needs something else? It needs maybe a combination of stakeholders who work together in order to bring some more promotion to the country, more engagement, more buzz through investors. I mean, it is like something that comes from the bottom and expands, like in type of communities, small communities that grow together, or it's like something that has to be coming from the top, let's say from government or from some other, let's say, initiatives. What is your take on this? Gary or Dea?
If you ask me, I think that's very important to consider your country like a startup in this context, specifically this context. So, and to make, to raise your country in this context like a startup, so using the same approach, but definitely it should be many stakeholders involved, like in a startup. It's a board. What is the board in your country? It's a government. It's a founder. Who is founder is your country is a entrepreneur, is a founder, and advisory board. Who is advisory board? It could be me, it could be Gary, it could be people with some experience on building such ecosystems. So if you know how to collect all these things together, you have the startup. And now you're going to grow this startup. So you're going out to other countries, you're going, you learn what to do and do it in an efficient way. So you have to build the plan. So how are you going to invest? What kind of accelerators you're going to build? What kind of industries could be the best for your country, for example, yeah? Or it's healthcare. So which industries in making as well at this time? Maybe it's construction, maybe it's software. I know software is very well developed in your country. Maybe start from these and learn how, for example, same Ukraine or Poland just raise their software capabilities for a very small period of time. So this is what we can do. We can just sit and think about what we can do. What is our market? What our advantages, natural advantages built from our history. So I think we can start from this.
It's an interesting take to think about a country as a startup, and that means taking a lot of people, stakeholders that work together as a team. And
Yes. So, Gertie, I can say some things. So, I was one of, it seems like forever ago, but in Russia. So I lived in Moscow and started the startup ecosystem in Russia, right? And I brought people like Guy Kawasaki. We got Steve Blank and Bob Dorff, luminaries from Silicon Valley, friends, and we got them involved in the ecosystem. So what I would suggest is that this is what we're doing today as a first step forward. One is knowledge, right? Knowledge is the power. The other thing, and Leon's right on target, those connections and contacts are important. Those relationships. In fact, there was a little tiny company called IET in Israel, and I became part of the management team of IET, Intelligent Electronics. We brought that company to the US. I changed the name of the company to Click Software. We came up with a family of products. We brought world-class advisors and board members on board. The company was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, right? So you can do anything you want, but the one thing is mentally, you got to get past the point, forget about Albania. So today I have 127 companies in my portfolio from 55 countries. So they're in Nigeria, Ghana, Zambia, South Africa, North Africa, Egypt, Indonesia, Malaysia. We're in the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland. The key is, do you really want to do it? Now, I know there's a lot of really smart people in Albania that have incredible technical expertise, but you need to have marketing and sales to make it sexy and exciting. You need to go down through and have the business development. You need to have advisors. So I call it the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. So if you're going to have a company, security and privacy always come up in an issue. So somebody like Rick Orloff, the former chief security officer at Apple, on your board of advisors. Somebody like Bill Reichert, Guy Kawasaki's partner. Guy Kawasaki is one of the top marketing persons in the world. Bill Reichert runs a $2 billion fund called Pegasus. People like that make it look like $1 billion company. So we started GSD Labs, Get Shit Done Labs, specifically for this. On one side, we're a family office, my family office. But we understand there's incredible talent over the world, and we got to extract the talent out and help them, because it's hard. It's like a secret club, right, to get into Silicon Valley mentality. And if you want to do it, the people that take that step forward, that have started to get revenue in places like Albania or Europe, and really wanted to have that dream come true, get it inside of that global network. That's how it works. Listen, Silicon Valley is a port to the rest of the world. It doesn't mean you need to take your resources out of Albania, but you want to have contacts there. Why? Because if I go down to Starbucks on a Saturday morning, I see Tim Cook, right? And I can talk to Tim Cook. If I'm walking down the street go to the Chinese restaurant in Menlo Park, many times I see people like Mark Zuckerberg. I see him right there. Why is it important? It's kind of like going fishing. As a kid, when you're going to go fishing, you go to the pond where they got the fish. I remember when I was a little kid, I was 11 years old. We had 3 ponds near my house. My friend Bill said, "Hey, Gary, let's go fishing." And I said, "Okay." He said, "Which one do you want?" I said, "I'll take the pond on the left." He said, "I'll take the one on the right. Let's have a contest. Who can catch the most fish?" Well, it comes to be, we went at 7 o'clock in the morning, 11:30 in the morning, we meet, and I've got 12 trout. He doesn't have any. He said, "Why did it happen?" I said, "Because my dad told me they stocked the pond with trout, and I went in there and they feed them cornmeal. I used corn, and I caught the trout." The point is, you go where the fish are, right? Don't reinvent the wheel. It doesn't matter where you're from. Look at, when we did Click Software in Israel, there weren't many Israeli companies that have become unicorns. right? People said, "Oh, I don't know. It's a little country." You got to have the dream and believe you can do it. If you really want to do it, step forward and do it. You have the opportunity. The world truly is your oyster. And the pearl is getting these incredible companies out to the world. When we went to Nigeria, right? There's over 200 million people in Nigeria, some of the best fintech AI talent in the planet Earth. Go to places there aren't. Not a lot of people have come to Albania. You're just at the beginning. But listen, you got a lot of really bright people that have ideas. Get them out. Get the Ferrari out of the garage.
I really starting to love this metaphor as well. Look, you're right. That's right. What you're saying. We can confirm that during these years that we have been testimonials of the growth of the Albanian ecosystem. There have been many startups, many good, which have turned in good companies, but they are operating mainly within the country or within the region. And there is still some, I don't know, lack of confidence, can I call it? Or I don't know, maybe the Silicon Valley seems really too far because we are, let's say, part of the Southeastern Europe. And meanwhile, it's some 1,000 kilometers. The US and the Silicon Valley seems like a dream. What could you suggest?
Well, Gertie, but dreams come true. Listen, it's called the self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm also a clinical psychologist, right? So I'll tell you, there's a theory. It's called the self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's effect Pygmalion, the Pygmalion effect. You become what you believe, seriously. And if you want to do it, visualize where you want to go. Look at Elon Musk. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Elon Musk, they said he was crazy. He's doing electric cars. He's doing solar panels. He's doing the Hyperloop. He's doing the Boring Company, all this stuff. They said he was crazy. Well, he's crazy to the tune of being worth $250 billion now. So, sometimes you got to think differently and do it. You can't be afraid. There's a company called Sun Microsystems, and I met Scott McNeely, the founder, one of the founders. And so Scott and I had lunch together. And he said, Gary, always go to areas you fear the most. You're going to learn the most. It's the biggest opportunity. So yes, there are a lot of Albanian companies that have done it, but you got to be, for each one of the companies out there that have the potential, do it. How do you know? It's like going on a date, right? If you don't ask the girl for a date, how do you go on a date? You have the opportunity. Your dreams come true. On one side, the soft side of being an entrepreneur is believing in yourself and your dreams. You got to look yourself in the mirror and say, do I really want to do it or not? Really? There's a lot of bullshit out there. People say, oh, let's just do this. Let's have our club. Let's talk about entrepreneurship. Let's have pitching competitions, but they never do anything. It's like a club. They can talk about their startup and, that's all they want. It's a lifestyle business. But if you want to create $1 billion company, you've got to take that leap forward. It's not easy, but let me tell you, on the other side, if you got the right people involved, the right network involved, listen, money follows money. If Leon calls me up and says, hey, listen, Gary, I got a deal you should take a look at, I'm going to listen. Seriously. If I call up a family office, one of the top tier family offices, and say, I got something, I just did it actually yesterday to one of the wealthiest families in the United States. I brought them a deal, MedTech deal, and they are very seriously looking at this thing, right? But it's just because I had the context to the person, the family, directly to look at it. I knew what they're interested in. It's the same thing here. Those trusted networks are important. Everybody wants an opportunity. You got a great technology that's investable. Why not? But here's the challenge. What happens is, one thing in the US we're really good at is marketing, sales, and business development. We can take a rock and make it sound like a diamond. And the part of what you got to do is you got to not be modest. Albanians are modest, right? You got to not be modest about what you have. But at the same time, you want to make it look like any other Silicon Valley type company, a company that's investable. So you got to have the right cap table. You got to have the right PowerPoint presentation. You've got to have the right one pager. You've got to have the right, you got to have all those components that build it up to make it exciting. It's like a snowball coming down a mountain. You want to, a snowball starts as a little snowball and all of a sudden it's the size of a building. That's what you need to do. But the thing is, it's not about the talk. It's about getting shit done and doing it. Get it done.
Yeah, there's been, let's say, some challenges. You mentioned some of them, believing in your dreams, believing in yourself, type of that, not being so humble sometimes, not so modest. And I think during the years, we have started to break this type of mentality and we have had the right inspiration, we have the right mindset. We are getting, our startups are having the right education, let's say, getting that PowerPoint presentation, that one pager up. But I think we're still missing the connection. And I want to ask you, Leon, and then I would like to invite everybody who has got something to say, please raise your hand there, and we can opt to the questions from now. But Leon, what is your take on this? We are now in a position that we have some companies, we have startups, we have people with ideas that can have the first help here, let's say, within the ecosystem, but we need the option to scale is not the path that is become a journey from our startup. It's yet something undiscovered. So how can we, let's say, specifically improve this connection to the right investors, to the right ecosystem, to gain some experience from people like you?
Very interesting question. We were talking about what we have to do. Very inspirational. Now we can talk about how we can do this. And this is the most important, because if we have the goal, we have to have all things how to reach this goal. And what I suggest, like to build, to excavate the channel, go from both directions. So, for example, if you go find champion in the United States, go to accelerators in the United States, find champions. Now you know Gary, you know me, for example. You can come to us. By the way, several Albanian companies already applied to me, and we had a very good conversation, and I hope I little bit help them. So it's very important to go to United States, to go specifically to Silicon Valley or to Boston if it's a healthcare company, and to start to find champions there, to find advisors there. And maybe even to ask somebody to join a company like a founder. So I'm going to Boston, I'm looking for a good guy for LinkedIn. I show him, like Gary said, I have a deal for you. He will definitely, he's American, he will definitely will respond, and offer him this deal. Be my co-founder, be my ambassador in the United States, for example, or in Israel, or in Africa, or in Singapore. It depends where you're going to start, like to build your business or sales or marketing. So what is your market? Understand this exactly. This is from one side. So go to United States, talk to people, find champions, find accelerators, a lot of good accelerators. Today, I'm a mentor at a generator, for example, generator accelerator, they specifically in Birmingham for healthcare. And they give $60,000 for the startups they selected. So now they, by the 5th February, they hire a new cohort of startups. They give up $60,000. So you have a lot of opportunities in the United States. You can find co-founders there and do it together in Generator 8, in GSD Venture or somewhere else. So this is what you can do from one side. And from another side of this tunnel, you can build accelerators in Albania. So your ambassador, your advisor come back to Albania and teach and share their experience with other entrepreneurs here in Albania. So I have the clear vision how it works, how it grows. In 10 years, you will have the army of entrepreneurs. And definitely, if you have the army of entrepreneurs, very well educated, went for the good practice worldwide, you will be very attractive to venture capital. Venture capital, it's like, they go where they see some potential. So immediately, as they will have potential, they it will be crowd of venture capital, family offices, angel investors in your country. But you have to create a fundament for this basic approach, something basic to attract these type of people.
I get it. And you mentioned that everything you mentioned was, let's say, well perceived from us. And I would like to say that we have already some type of accelerators, maybe not the international ones, but let's say the regional ones are operative in the country. And there is a good job that is being done from certain people from ecosystem which have grown, and now they started these accelerators, and they are doing a good job because they are connecting. But the connection goes, let's say, from Albania to the neighborhood, let's say, to the region, to the Balkans, Western Balkans, go to Slovakia, let's say, which is Uplift is an accelerator that goes for Albania, Macedonia, Kosovo, let's say from the Western Balkans, people go there, but their reach is ventures until Slovakia or until some countries in Europe. The reach doesn't go further. And I mean, I like to think about the world.
Gertie, if you want to learn how to play golf, you have to play with a professional, or tennis, same way, right? Not with somebody like you. Play with professional. You will learn a lot.
But how can we do that? I mean, is there something specific? Let's say, if we have as Albaniatech, we are covering, let's say, all the startups in Albania. We are trying to identify them, or inform them about activities, trying to work with them to see different opportunities where they can promote themselves, where they can go to pitch their products, or where they can get investment. Specifically, what we as Albaniatech could do if we have like a variety of startups, if we want
Gertie,
to pitch them to you, how can we proceed with that?
Gertie, it's simple, right? So here's what we do. So we have 127 companies today from 55 countries, right? They're from Slovakia, they're from the Czech Republic, they're from Virginia in the US, they're from Canada, they're from Silicon Valley, they're from Malaysia, they're from Australia. But here's the one thing, Leon was right on target with it. What you want to do is you need to get inside of that group, and you need to make it look like what those investors want to see today. The one thing when you raise money in Europe, it's about half the valuation of what you're going to get in a place like Silicon Valley, right? And they're a lot more conservative. You got to get to the people. It's fishing in the pond. You got to go to the right pond. So what we do, we put the companies through. So we got 3 different levels within GSD. And we're a family office. It's my family office. So on one side, we're investors, but we're taking a very pragmatic, proactive approach to it. So our thing is, let's realize whatever the potential of the company is. So we find a company that's got some traction, they've got product market fit, they're growing, they've started in Europe, but they want to go to the next levels. What we do is we put them through this entire process. We get down through, we marketize the company. We introduce them to top law firms. So Bill Gates' father's law firm, Bill Gates' father was my lawyer, right? He's passed away 3 years ago. The top lawyer for me and his group was Stan Lewandowski, who's originally from Poland. He's moved over to Pillsbury, another top tier, top global law firm. You got to have those kind of connections to pull it off. You got to make the cap table look like a company that's going to be $1 billion company. You got to go down through and make sure you got the sales, the marketing, the business development, the technical pieces in line. Doesn't mean you have to move the resources out of Albania. It means you need to have a presence. And, Silicon Valley's a mentality. It's not a place, it's a mentality. It's just different. So, for instance, If you look online, you'll see GSD presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. In fact, I should get you on the show. But our model, somebody asked, let me tell you how our model works, a little bit different. Typical accelerators give you $100,000 to $150,000, right? They'll say, come on in, we're going to give you $100,000, $150,000. We're going to take 4 to 8% of your company, typically. Well, from my perspective, it's like getting married before you date. How in the world could you understand the company? You know, you want to go out on some dates and understand who that person is, right? Team is number one, but how in the world can you understand a team if you only met 2 or 3 times? It's impossible. Now, as a psychologist, I can tell you, we want to get inside. We want to understand inside those companies the strengths and weaknesses. I want to understand if I want to invest in them personally. So how do I do that? I want to look at the AI. I want to look at their patents and trademarks. Do they make sense or not? Is it interesting or not? I want to look at the team. Do they have the right sales? Do they have the right marketing, business development? Do they have the right contacts? Do they know how to get, you know, I just had this opportunity in Nigeria. I met the wealthiest family in Nigeria, in Africa, right? Not Nigeria, Africa. But if you want to do business, find people that can help you. It's side of that network. You know, I've been doing this stuff for 37 years in Silicon Valley. Imagine who I know, right? I sold the first Apples. So Apple IIs, I sold them. I was in graduate school. So when you go down through that and you develop that trusted network, just like Leon and I, right? And now all of us here, we develop a network. Go to the place, again, like fishing, go to the place where you can get those skill sets to be able to help. Somebody asked how it works with us. Here's how it works. I don't take any equity in the company coming in. I have a different model. It's entirely different. It cost me $25,000 to put a company in for 15 weeks. I'm directly involved with those companies, and so is the rest of my team. Directly. Why? Because it's my money that's it's coming out of my pocket, right? I take it very seriously. And also reputational risk. I have a lot of family offices. Some of the wealthiest families in the world are friends. They want to look at my deal flow. We co-invest together in different things. I got to make sure it's no bullshit, that it really does what they say it's going to do, right? That all the pieces are in line, it's ready to go. So we put them through the 15 weeks. It cost me $25,000 to put a company in. I charge $9,500. That means I invest $15,500 out of my pocket. The company puts $9,500 in. Why? Because I know you're going to take it seriously. If you take money out of your pocket, you're going to take it seriously. I'm not asking for equity, right? I don't think it's right. How in the world can somebody ask for 4 to 8% before they even know who you are? It's crazy. So we do it. We've had incredible successes. I'll give you some examples. I2 Pure came to us. They had 0 sales, 0. We helped them with a deal in Malaysia and a deal in Brazil. Today, they have contracts that are worth over $140 million in 14 months. Seriously. Another company came to us. They were raising funds. They're from India. The company Zozo Day, they raised $30 million while they were in GSD Labs. 30 million. Another company, VoiceScript, raised 3.4 million. So many. So some want to have partners, some want to have business development, but we got to make it look like a company that is going to be a unicorn, right? It needs to have all those component parts. And if you do that, the probability of getting funded, the probability of partnerships, the trust, the credibility work. And that's really important. Most of the companies never do that. The problem is 9 out of 10 companies fail, not because they don't have good technology, because they don't know how to pull it off. They don't know how to operate their company. Most of them are technical entrepreneurs, right? They've never built a business. And by the way, when you go to, you know, Harvard was started in the 1600s. The MBA program, the first MBA program in the world was Harvard. It was not to teach managers how to be an entrepreneur. It was teach managers how to manage. In fact, risk was a negative thing. So it's different. You got to know how to roll the dice, but having the contacts, that trusted network works, just like you're doing here today, Gertie. This is a step forward for you. Now, I will guarantee there'll be people coming out of this. There'll be a percentage of the folks coming today that are ready to go, that want to go to those next levels. Those are the ones that are going to be the next Steve Jobs of the world. By the way, I'll tell you a story. Almost 9 years ago, I met a guy named Eric. Eric said, I've got some really cool technology that might be interesting for you. I said, can you send me a link over? He sent it. I downloaded it and I tried it. And this was incredible. So I started to send it out to my friends and they looked at it. That company's Zoom. Today, he's worth $20 billion. He has 400 daily active users, 400 million, right? So you look at it, these companies were just like you. He was in the Forbes Business Council too, Leon, by the way, just like we are, right?
Yep.
But look at it now. So you each have those opportunities. I had Daniel Kotke on my show. Daniel Kotke was the original member of Apple, the original team member of Apple and Steve Jobs' best friend. He told me when the investors came to Steve Jobs' dad's garage, Steve had a vision, right? And they did it. They got their first investment from Mike Makula, and the rest is history. Look at it now, it's worth $4 trillion. You each have that possibility, but the question is, most entrepreneurs sit on their hands, right? They don't take those steps forward to do it. They only talk about it, or they create a life. They're afraid. They don't know what they don't know. But what we got to do is, if there are companies out there that have the dream and a vision and have some revenue. Revenue is important because it shows you have product market fit, and it shows that the companies got their act together, that they can move forward. It's really important for me.
Yeah. Also, I can add a couple of words. From my experience, people, entrepreneurs, they have very interesting behavior. And frankly, I had something like this. We invest a lot of money, time to build technology. And then it comes time we have to show this technology, to sell what we built. We missed connections. So instead of build connection, invest into connections and build something, go to conferences, talk to people, create champions around, create pool of advisors. We are close the door and working on your book. But if you don't know how to sell your book, you cannot make money. So, and this is the problem of 99% of entrepreneurs. They think that if they build something, investors and customers will come by themselves. It doesn't happen. Today, it's a huge market of entrepreneurs. Just imagine how many thousands and maybe 100,000 people were just fired from Apple, Qualcomm, Google. What all these people are going to do? I talked to some, and they said, almost 50% said, no, we're not going to look for another job. We're going to build the company. It's a good time to start. We're talking about it and thinking about it for 20 years. We're going to start a new company. And we are Google alumni. We are Google. So it will be line of investors. And then they realize, even they're from Google or Qualcomm or somewhere else, there is no line of investors. Because investor is not looking for some Google. Investor is looking for people who know how to sell, not engineers. Engineers as well, you should be a good engineer, but you know how to sell, you know how to present, you know how to build connections, because business is all about connections. And I have the opportunity to answer questions. So Kelza asked question about who covers the cost of the acceleration program in your country. In my country, in Israel, it's a very interesting and winning approach was made. So first of all, in the beginning of 90s, government created accelerators, a lot of government accelerators to accept new immigrants from Russia. It was 1 million people coming after the Soviet Union disappeared, coming to Israel from Russia, about 1 million people. That's amazing. It was 5 million living in Israel and another 1 million came from Russia. So you have somehow to absorb these people. And usually these people are very smart and very, very entrepreneurial coming from Russia. And so they created this government made and government accelerators, and they offer about $500,000 for a couple of years. So it was a very tough selection of the best ideas. So on the level of idea, people could get $500,000, create company, place where to work. So altogether, it's like a hub. And people should add about 50% of their, to find another investor, some matching money we call 50%. It was only one problem. They took 50% of your shares or equity. So after you get $500,000, you lose half. So all these companies were created in 90s. So their founders finished the line with 3-5% of ownership of the company. And this is the best solution. So today, definitely they change it because today world is different. And all these accelerators became private accelerators. They were sold to big companies. Microsoft has its own accelerator, Qualcomm, almost all the companies in the United States have their own accelerators. But it's very important to understand how it did started. And even today, you come with idea, definitely you should show some MVP before. We do not take like idea only. And you can get, and government also could give you, for example, $50,000. If you have idea, you apply with this idea. Also, you have matching funds about, I don't know, 15%, not more. And you can get $50,000 up to $70,000 just to develop MVP in order to move to the next stage. It's called accelerator. And you know what happens? Government gets royalties then back within the sum of the money they invested. So for the last 30 years, they did 5 times, even 10 times return on money they invested into this accelerator, into these companies coming to this accelerator because of these royalties. And plus, for example, take Waze. Waze was sold to Google. Google paid for the Waze about $1 billion. But actually, they paid $2 billion because they had to buy all patents Waze had. And in order to buy patents from Israel, they have to pay the tax to the Israel about $1 billion as well. So Google spent $2 billion almost on Waze, not $1 billion. And the country just benefits twice from building and helping to build such a great company. So this is what happens if you're patient and if you know how to build, if you do what we suggest to do, and just to have to start. And we're here, we can help, Gary, me, you have a lot of other people I know ready to help. We bring also other people to you, but you should be responsive. You should understand, you should have vision, and we can help. Yeah, but call should come from you.
Yeah, it was really clear. Also, the explanation that you made about the accelerator and the way it works. Shkelzen, who asked, he runs an accelerator. It's called Growpreneur. And yes, he is doing it for several years from now. And that's why I guess he asked, and I think he got another perspective of how the accelerators should work from the other side. I wanted to get back to the way Get Shit Done is proposing, because as far as I understood it, it's like if a company, let's say an Albanian company, Albanian startup who have a vision to go abroad and to expand their market, they have a technology, they have a service, they have something they want to sell, but they are not able, let's say, by themselves going somewhere there, and they can contact GSD directly, or
absolutely.
How does it work? Is there a website or somewhere that you can apply?
Yeah, so I can.
We can use Albaniatech as a relationship and say we were in this seminar together, and
yeah. So here's so there's gsdbs.com. there's gsdvs.com. You can check us out. You can come to our website. We have a lot of content. I've done 1,000 podcasts with some of the top people like Guy Kawasaki, Bob Dorff, just some of the top tier folks from the Valley, billionaires, family offices, Coastal Ventures, top tier VCs. So you're welcome to check that out. I mean, we're going to start again in March. We picked 10 companies out of 1,000, right?
Mhm.
Last time we had 6 companies. Why? Because I want to have the best. I want the mental part of it. They really want to do it. And we also want to make sure that the company's got the right stuff. Going down through the process, the companies say that they're 2 years ahead. Again, I'm an investor. I've invested in many of the companies, right? But I want to make sure that's a right company for us. Maybe it's not for my family office. Maybe it's for another family office. But the one thing is, my friends come to us because they believe we have the best deal flow in the world. They're looking for companies from all over the world. We want to each make an impact too. Democratize opportunity. And I think, with the technical talent you have in Albania, you need to get out, get your Ferrari out of the garage. Get it out.
What is some type of criteria about it's some sort of application that they have to do, or they do a one-on-one interview, or
They have a one-on-one interview with me directly.
Mhm.
I want to talk to them. I want to talk to them. I want to understand their passions. I want to understand the company. I want to understand the technology. By the way, my own personal background is artificial intelligence, unsupervised, semi-supervised AI. We built a company that sold for $1.3 billion. I just sold Eva May 4th of last year to Vizier in Canada that I co-founded. So, I mean, and that was a remote workforce management, HR tech. So, but I've dealt with thousands, almost 4,000 companies in total today that we've taken through all kinds of different steps through either GSD. I had a fund that I started. We now have a family office, but whatever it is, what we want to do is we want to reach the human potential. In fact, I did a TED talk called Unleashing Human Potential. So you've Googled my name in TED. I talked directly about this 7 years ago because nothing changed. You need to take a laser approach, not a shotgun.
I wanted to push a little bit more about the way to go through the GSD.
Yeah.
So you do a one-on-one interview. After that, if they got admitted, you create a company and we work with the company 15 weeks. And
Yeah, we
in
work with them
order to
15
the
weeks.
company, the startup has to invest $9.5 thousand, and you invest the rest.
Yeah, so here's the way it works. So it's 15 weeks. We go down through completely. It's I call it hyper acceleration. In fact, you look at the literature, I actually coined the term hyper acceleration. What we want to do is I want to look inside the company, open the hood of the Ferrari. I want to see what kind of engine you have. I want to look at your brakes. I want to look at the seats. I want to look at everything you've got in the car. We're going down through it and we want to take it and change it from an Albanian company to a global corporation, mentally change it. So all those marketing, sales, business development pieces that are there, we want to make sure that we make it look like that. Our mentors and advisors are high net worth individuals, family offices are some of the, families that invest in startups. I'll tell you a direct story, real story. Top 10 family worldwide. I signed an NDA, so I can't tell you who they are, but one of the top 10 families I work with from 1929 to the present, they showed me how their families made money. And I'm talking about family that's worth over $100 billion. That family, 27% of their investable money is put into startups, 27%. Now, they own stores, candy stores, they own real estate companies, they own a lot of stuff, part of cruise lines, all kinds of things. But their main money was made with startups. They showed me the trajectory. It was unbelievable, actually. So the key is you need to be able to access that capital. You need to be access to family offices and venture funds. By the way, the limited partners in most of the funds are high net worth individuals or family offices. You just don't know it because they don't put their name there. The only one that's visible is like Venrock, the venture arm of the Rockefeller family, right? But in general, you can't see them. They don't want people to know what they're doing.
Yeah. And what is, let's say, the success rate of startups who, let's say, go through this hyper accelerator, and what's the percentage of those who get to the next steps, let's say, who get investable and get to the next steps?
Yeah, every one of the company they each come in for different reasons. Some come in because they want to be associated with us because we have a lot of visibility. They're AI companies from the Czech Republic or wherever they're from, Africa, and they want to be associated with. They have each one of them has a different reason. The companies that have come in and look for investment, we go down through the process. It takes 15 weeks. It doesn't mean at the end of the 15 weeks that somebody's going to say, I'm going to give you money now. It takes anywhere from 4 to 8 months to raise funds. It used to be 3 to 6. It's now 4 to 8. So it doesn't happen overnight. The one thing it does happen, though, is because it is a network and we're doing so we have about 9,000 investors, about 1,200 are personal friends of mine, right? Whether the VC funds, et cetera. So we're making it look like a company that's investable for them. The mentors and advisors are high net worth individuals, VC funds, angels, super angels, et cetera. So they're actually telling you what they want. So they're coming in and saying, oh, Gertie, I think you need to change this. I don't think that you need to tweak the AI a little bit and move in this direction. What customers do you have? How about talking to this partner? They're helping you. Why? Because they want to invest just like I do. But when you're dealing with a fund that's worth $2 billion, right? And the person is coming in and guiding you, what it does is it gives you, they're telling you what they want. You know, when you raise money, you're generally on two sides of the table. You're on one side, the investor's here. You're trying to get money out of their pocket. This thing is, what we're doing is bring them together. Why? Because I'm an investor and I'm also an entrepreneur. So they're coming together all in one because we have friends like Leon, right? And partners all over the planet. So throughout the process, in terms of the people that have wanted to raise money, I would say it's damn near 100% of the people that wanted to raise money have raised money or in the process of raising money. Again, it takes up to 8 months to do it, but they've done it. We've had companies sold inside of the accelerator, sold. We have companies raise $30 million inside the accelerator. We have companies within 14 months have gotten over $140 million worth of contracts. So each one of them has different reasons to come in. In general, they tell me that they're 2 years ahead of where they were coming in. I hear that across the board. I hear that from Silicon Valley-based companies. I have companies in San Jose, Fremont, Palo Alto. I have companies in Virginia. I have companies in Miami, right? So they're not just global, they're also in the US, but they tell me they're 2 years ahead of where they were. And with a laser focus.
Yeah, it's really, really clear. And I think, yes, we've got to work on that because, as I mentioned, as Albaniatech.
By the way, Gertie, we were just rated #1 in Silicon Valley. So
we're glad to have you here and to introduce you to our startups. And it's really, really nice. And thank you, Leon, for this thing that you started.
Leon's amazing. Gertie, we love Leon. This guy is just like an encyclopedia of startups. He's like, I mean, this guy's a force to be reckoned with. He's incredible. We love him.
That's why
I love you as well.
We are all here because we think about the same. We have the same vision. We have the same perspective. We work under the same circumstances.
Somebody is speaking there.
Yes, somebody is speaking. Take the microphone off. I don't want to do that. That happened with technology. I need to make us, because Gary was talking about AI. He's an expert in AI, and the latest development with the ChatGPT and the other things that are happening has gotten us very interested in how this is changing. And earlier, Leon mentioned that it's not more about the people who work on the technology, but it's more about the people who know to do marketing and sales. Is this something that the power of the IT or the software guys is getting a little bit less now than it used to be? And now the more power it will go to marketing and to sales. And how is this AI changing what's going on?
Well, I mean, ChatGPT. So I'll tell you, we just wrote a patent using ChatGPT, and the patent took us 2 minutes. You know how long it takes to write a patent? Like 9 months, right? Or 6 months. And it went down through. Now, was it completely done? No. Did it need work? Yes. Was it 75, 80% done? Absolutely. So the situation is, this is an opportunity. It's going to change everything. Think about how personalized information is going to be for you. Whatever you want to know, you just ask a question. It brings exactly what you want. Are the technical resources going to still be needed? Absolutely. But the key is, how do you use it to be able to make money? I'll tell you a direct story. So back in 1997, 1998, I started one of the first e-commerce consulting company. And people said, it's never going to work. Amazon's just for books. They're bleeding money. And so I started it. I won Delta Airlines, American Airlines, Tesco, Walmart, all kinds of different companies. They said it would never work. People won't use their credit cards. We sold the company 18 months later. The situation with ChatGPT, we just understood that the market it's going to happen. So is whether you want it or not, it's how can we use it to be able to make opportunities, make a business. So what I would be doing for those Albanian companies, I have a company right now called Runday. Runday uses ChatGPT. We're doing scheduling. We're using it so imagine you go into a chatbot and knows everything about you, right? And can pull information. So what I would figure out is, how can I use it to enhance my business? How can I make my business more effective and better? How can I use that robotic process automation to be able to make me a leader in that market? Think about how you can use it. Each one of you, by the way, my next article in Forbes is on ChatGPT. So it'll be out next week. So think about how you can use it to make your business better. I don't think it's going to go down through, it's going to change the nature of technology. It's going to change the nature of how we relate to information, but use it to your advantage. It's a good thing.
By the way, my next article in Forbes also about ChatGPT, but from totally different angle. Yeah. First of all, I think in the future, in any company, in every company, it will be employer called ChatGPT manager or something like this, because it really enhances the business. But from other side, all what we learn from Google, that we are looking for the answer. The ultimate answer, depth is the ultimate answer. So we are all looking for the depth, some kind of level, right? But what ChatGPT is doing, it will teach us how to ask questions. Because if you ask questions not correctly, you get not correct answer. And if you ask questions with 50% of answer, you will get much more information. And then you can go deep inside and ask more and more questions and get better and more focused information. And this is what didn't happen with Google. So this will teach us back to ask questions. And as you know, we learn not when we just listen to the teacher or lecture. We'll learn when we ask questions, because in this case, this question comes out of our brain and gets processed in our brain. So as more you ask questions, as better to learn. So I think from this point of view, ChatGPT will change, I think will change humanity and how we approach to information, to recover information and to build information. So it's really, I consider this like this. There is the ultimate knowledge in our life. Yeah, somebody call it God, somebody call it just ultimate knowledge. And ChatGPT just bring robotics and automation close. It will never cross this. but close to ultimate knowledge. And this is what will happen soon.
It's something really interesting what we are about to experience in the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, we don't know, but it's a new era that has already started, and we are not still making use, we are just doing the tests now, I guess. But it's a lot of usage that may be done, and yes, we need new approaches and new ways how to learn, how to take this technology that is happening and put it in our disposal and learn how to do something out of it to make something for our businesses or for our daily lives.
I mean, Gertie, if you think about this, right? So just give you an idea how fast these systems are. So let's talk about quantum computers. Let's talk about AI.
Mhm.
If you today, a quantum computer, what would take 10,000 years on the fastest supercomputer today takes 200 seconds on a quantum computer. 10,000 years versus 200 seconds. So imagine how much knowledge, right? They were used during COVID to do drug discovery. So IBM Watson and their quantum computer with AI to do think about how our lives are going to change. And so use the technology. These are things that are right in front of us. Use the technology. There's a lot of things we can do to make this world a better place. And we got to start thinking about it. Not how to destroy it, but that was my speech. I spoke at the UN last year about technology as a tool for peace. I got a chance to address the General Assembly of the United Nations, and I talked about it. You can see it online. Let's figure out how we can make our lives better. We got global warming. We got to double the food supply by 2050 to feed everybody. The population will go from 8.1 billion to 13. Let's figure out how we can make this world better for all of us. Let's use ChatGPT. Let's use quantum computers and AI to make our lives better.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I think we have run a little bit out of time, but it was such a nice conversation. I think it was productive for everybody. We had a clear view of what it's like to have a startup and start thinking globalist, start thinking to bring the Ferrari out of the garage so that everybody can see that you are driving a Ferrari, and you can make it, let's say, your startup investable. We know the ways how to reach to the people now, and it's like a good start and the best start for our series of the webinars. I would like to thank a lot Leon, thank a lot Gary, thank a lot everybody who has been here with us for the last hour. Gary and Leon already exchanged their emails. They send it via the chat, but of course, anyone who is interested to follow up might write directly or might write to us so we can help and to make the right connection. They also send the URLs, but I think now with this webinar series we have started a new thing for the Albanian startup ecosystem. We talked with Leon, and we are going to bring also other speakers, other investors to the Albanian startups in order to start seeing more new perspective and starting to get more new connections, because it's who you know, not just what you know. That's what they say. So thank you everybody for being with us. Hope it was a time that you enjoyed and you consider productive. Thanks a lot again, Gary and Leon, and hope to see you next time for our next webinars.
Thank you very much, Gert.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thanks to everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.